Let's jump right in. I'm going to lay out some points that may be pretty straightforward for some of you, but may not be for all. If you want to build Maharishi Vastu, it's pretty straightforward. It really is pretty simple. You, of course, have to buy a lot, and you'll want a little bit of help from us in making sure that you buy a lot that is, in addition to suitable from all the perspectives that you have personally, is suitable for Vastu, that will have completely nourishing influences on you and your family. So first of all, how much land do you need? You need a little more land if you're getting a really tight lot. You should know that you may need a little more land to build a Maharishi Vastu house than not, because the house will be surrounded by a fence. Doesn't have to be too far away from the house, but a little bit of distance. And that the house and the fence will be facing perfectly to the cardinal directions, that is, due east, west, north, and south. And so if you buy a lot that whose frontage on the street is a little bit rotated off of due east or due north, etc., then your house and the fence are going to fit a little bit cockeyed on it, and therefore the lot would have to be a little wider. Now, we're just mentioning these things. You don't have to really worry about them. When you find a lot, you simply contact us by emailing info@maharishivastu.org, and we will do an evaluation of the site with you in order to assess these things. So it's straightforward, but it's useful to know that. In addition, if you're buying land in what in the US is called a homeowners association, it may have different names in other countries, the associations sometimes have rules. There are a couple of rules in homeowners associations, and sometimes also in zoning and planning regulations, that we need to be aware of if we want to build Vastu. The first rule is, are you permitted to have a fence around your house, including in the front yard? In some homeowners associations and some zoning, this is prohibited. So you want to find out first. Second, if the street that the house is on is not pretty precisely oriented to the cardinal directions, it means that your house will be a little bit off the angle of the street. And in some zoning areas and in some homeowners associations, the house has to be aligned with the street or within a certain number of degrees. And so this is something else to check out. But another issue in knowing how much land you want is, how big of a house will it be? Well, of course, you will certainly make a list, or you have right now in your head a list of what the rooms are that you want in the house. And it may be that by looking at your own house and friends' houses and houses on the market, that you know how many square feet you want to build, and you have talked to builders and you know about what you can afford and finance. And the important thing for Vastu is, what will be the square foot, the footprint, the length and width of the footprint on the first floor, because that, with the fence around it, help to dictate how wide the lot has to be. And again, if you're proceeding with a site evaluation and a feasibility study to build on a certain lot, we will be glad to hold your hand and help you figure these things out. They're not complicated, but it's just useful for us to flag them for you up front. Another thing that affects the siting and the size of the lot is whether you want to have a garage or not, whether the garage you really want to be attached to the house or freestanding. In the United States, of course, attached garages are the standard, and we do not promote them in Maharishi Vastu, but we don't prohibit them. And finally, as you've heard so well, if you're on this webinar, we understand the huge value of east-facing houses, although alternatively, north-facing houses are also acceptable. And that this orientation is, in a way we could think, reinforced if the lot also faces east or faces north. And so it's a wonderful thing if you can find a lot that is east facing or alternatively is north facing. Although there are lots and lots of possibilities, this is not remotely a hard and fast rule. There are lots of workarounds for other kinds of lots, but the most ideal lot is a square or rectangular east facing lot. And so that's something you might look for. If there are hills to the east of the lot, as there are in some parts of the US and other parts of the world, then they will retard the nourishing influence of the rising sun. And so we will help you, we will evaluate for you what the effect will be of particular hills that may be to the east of your lot. And we do that in something called a site evaluation, and that will be very fully explored in our full presentation that Agyan is going to conduct momentarily. And also, if there are water bodies nearby, water to the east and to the north is very good. If they're to the south or to the west and nearby, it may not be ideal. And very importantly, when you visit the land, how do you feel? You ideally will feel very good there. In addition, when you visit a lot, a prospective lot, keep an eye out for nearby cell phone towers, high tension lines, and electrical substations. It's common sense, widely understood, that we don't want to live close to these influences. And if any of them are nearby, just let us know during the site evaluation process, and we'll go through some very simple steps to be able to determine whether you need to be concerned about those in particular. And when we talk about high tension electric lines, we're not talking about the standard electrical lines that bring electricity to any neighborhood, but rather the big pylons, the big towers that carry heavy electricity, high power to entire regions of cities. And as I said before, when you think you may have a lot, please do not buy it immediately. Instead, just be in touch with us at info@maharishivastu.org, and we will arrange to evaluate the site for you for these Vastu considerations. And we can do it remotely. We don't have to visit you. And after we've done the site evaluation for you, you should make arrangements to purchase the lot. And I will mention to you that the system of Vastu that we use, which we call Maharishi Vastu, is named in recognition of His Holiness Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, the great Vedic seer who was so well known around the world, who introduced, among other things, the Transcendental Meditation, or TM technique, worldwide to many millions of people. And he conducted a roughly 20-year research project into this ancient, even timeless Vedic system of natural law-based architecture that we call Vastu, in order to ensure that it was fully based in the ancient Vedic recommendations, which are the direct vibrations of the laws of nature, so that it would be fully effective. And so the particular practice of Vastu that we practice, that we're talking about in these webinars, is Vastu as Maharishi has really reconstructed it and gotten it into its totality and effectiveness. And so we signify that by putting his name in front of it. And so we speak of Maharishi Vastu architecture. It's complete, it's authentic, and it's very simple to follow. And we will help you through a simple procedure to evaluate a lot and to build your home